to College Football Live Weekend Tailgate, presented by Wrangler.
Well, it is fall in Columbus, Ohio, a perfect time to take a stroll down Buckeye Grove, where there's a Buckeye tree planted for every All-American from Ohio State. A huge matchup between, number 2 Penn State and 6th ranked Buckeyes is coming up on Saturday, so we decided to plant ourselves right in the middle of a weekend tailgate across the street from Ohio Stadium. All you have to do is drive across Woody Hayes Drive, and you can find us here, Maria Taylor, David Pollock, and Desmond Howard here for your College Football Live weekend tailgate, guys. How does it feel to be back, first of all, in Columbus? It's our second time this season.
That's interesting.
I'm surprised at the weather.
It's beautiful
weather. I mean, this is great. You can't beat this.
I lived in Ohio for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
This time of year wasn't much fun.
Yeah.
The sun really doesn't exist for about 3 or 4 months. When I lived up here, I was like, where did it go?
Yeah, exactly.
But hey, wait
I
for
was born
tomorrow.
and raised in this fair state,
Apparently,
so I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's going to rain on us all day tomorrow on game day. So
yeah, I know.
Glad you guys got that off your chest a little
Enjoy
bit
it while
early.
you can.
Enjoy it while you can. If you wake up
all
with
right?
us, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
Okay, time for your weekend preview served up by Outback Steakhouse. Let's take a look at the games that we have coming your way. Oklahoma State and West Virginia kick it off on ABC at noon.
Yep.
And look at the 3:30 window, guys.
Yes,
a huge
please.
Big Ten
Wow.
matchup. We could be talking about college football playoff,
Yep.
the division, and the conference. TCU and Iowa State, they're meeting for the first time while both of the teams are ranked. And another tricky game for Clemson. They got Georgia Tech at home, but that's the night game. We'll kind of cap off your night. When you take a look at the weekend preview, what storylines stand out for you this week, David?
I mean, there's plenty of them. Obviously here, I think is the biggest one, but I think Clemson too. Clemson lost their mulligan already.
Yeah.
They lost their quarterback for a little bit of a time. And last year, how they responded after that loss to Pitt was obviously a great run, and they finished it and punctuated it with a championship. So I want to see Clemson after the loss, after a bye week, Kelly Bryant, how they respond and how they handle Georgia Tech.
I tell you what, we've been a part of some revenge games week after week. We've been seeing teams seeking revenge. Penn State seeked revenge against Michigan a week ago in Happy Valley, and now I think they're going to, try to see if they can defend what they did a year ago when they beat Ohio State up in Happy Valley. So now you got the Buckeyes seeking revenge against Penn State. But then at the end of the day, I mean, Penn State, they won the battle, but Ohio State won the war because they were the ones who went to the college football playoff. So I think both teams feeling as though they were slighted in one way or another against the other one. So I think this is another big revenge game. Obviously, Saquon Barkley against David.
I'm gonna lean in.
The defensive coordinator here at Ohio State said that his defensive line was the best defensive line he'd ever coached on any level, including
the NFL.
Yep. Tomorrow is show and tell. Tomorrow is show and tell.
See what you got for 26.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep. I want to see somebody stop that man.
You can derail his Heisman campaign tomorrow night if what the coach said is true.
Right.
Well, with that being said, do you think that they have what it takes on the D-line to slow down Saquon Barkley? We haven't seen it yet.
They have the guys.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I think because the thing about it, Maria, is that Coach Franklin and that staff, they do such a look at this bird.
It's a bee.
They do thank you, David. Good looking out, brother. They do such a tremendous job of moving Barkley around. So they get the matchups that they're looking for. So that chess game is what you're going to have to really pay more attention to. He's not just going to line up in the I formation and run between the tackles against Ohio State. That's not going to happen. They're going to move that guy around, get the ball in his hands. It's going to put probably more pressure on their linebackers than their front four.
And what it does with McSorley. You got keep in mind, McSorley's ability to run the football is it takes pressure off Saquon, but more importantly, it sets up angles up front. So when McSorley sticks it out and you got Saquon running full speed, you watched last week, those backers are like, Saquon. And then Trace pulls that thing out and goes here. So now the line knows they have that. So when they fire off at an angle. They let Michigan over-pursue, and they just turn their body, and they turn them that direction. So Saquon's ability to do what he does makes everything easy on everybody else, but Trace's legs mean a lot to this offense.
And one more factor to keep an eye on, the passing game. Deshaun Hamilton, he's coming into his own right now.
Yep.
And if there's a weak spot on Ohio State's defense, it's their secondary, preferably their cornerbacks.
Hamilton, he had 115 yards, 6 receptions.
He's coming to his own.
He's already had 200-yard games.
Too, don't forget about him.
Yes. So right now, hitting on all cylinders for Penn State. But what about Notre Dame and NC State? I mean, the last time we saw Notre Dame, they were just putting a rout on USC. But NC State, they've won 6 straight since losing to South Carolina, and they have a tough defense, one of the top in the nation right now.
Yeah. No, it's strength on strength. You look at Notre Dame, they're the 6th best rush offense in college football, and you look at NC State, they're the 6th best rush defense. Yep. So I think the one thing that I look for this matchup is Winbush's ability. We talk about to throw it down the field, Des.
Right.
But his ability to run is a pain in the butt. I mean, if you really watch, I did a tape on them this week, and it's just they got an offensive line that is nasty. Yep. I mean, it is physical nasty.
Exactly.
And then they get Adams going downhill, and then they have some motions and shifts, and then they get Adams as a back, and then they dump it to the tight end, and then he scrambles and he runs, and there's a lot to look at. The offense has evolved. He made a couple throws down the field, made a back shoulder against USC last week, threw a post to the end zone that was nasty. So this offense is a handful. NC State better bring it.
No, you're right about that. And if I'm the Wolfpack, I'm studying the Georgia game because Georgia was able to hold Notre Dame to just 55 yards on the ground, an average of 1.5 yards per carry. So I'm going to study that film and see what Georgia did to slow them down. But with Bradley Chubb and that defensive line that they have at North Carolina State, like you said, strength against strength, we're going to see, which one's going to prevail, who's going to be able to impose his will on the other group because the battle's in the trenches. Yeah. Obviously, Adams and Winbush, they're great runners, but it all happens up front, as you know, because you were an excellent defensive line.
Well, I'm a little
compliments being thrown out
excellent.
there.
I mean, he was. Just check the year, check the records.
Yeah. Long time ago.
It wasn't that long ago. But College Football Live, we have plenty more coming your way, including we have to talk about Saquon Barkley. Are we taking him or the field when we talk Heisman race? It is week 9. So we will talk through that with Gino. He is back, and he will bring his chair back
Come
to the
on,
show.
Gino. Come on now.
We're having a great time here, but there are great games all around the nation. Georgia Tech, they head to Clemson, South Carolina, about a 2-hour drive from Atlanta. Saturday night, 8 Eastern, and you can also watch Texas Tech taking on Oklahoma, either on ABC or ESPN2. You can also stream it live on the ESPN app. Fans are out. They are great here in Columbus, Ohio. Wait, guys, check out these signs, though. Apparently, it is somebody's birthday out here. Son turns 30 today. Hey, is your son Mike Ruhlman? Our stage manager
here
at Game Day?
Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike.
Mike is 40?
You're 40 today?
Are you serious?
Your
Mike is
whole
40?
family's here to see you?
Mike, I don't think you realize that
Mike was about 53.
Happy birthday. Ruhlman's the one that keeps the train on the tracks. He's amazing.
Good job. Happy birthday, Mike.
Weekend Preview is brought to you by Outback Steakhouse. Aussie rules. College Football Live Weekend Tailgate is presented by Wrangler. With new styles and great fits, Wrangler jeans are ready for anything.
Let's take a look at our blimp-worthy player, Kelly Chris, presented by Goodyear. He struggled most of the game, but on the brink of an upset against Oregon State. Check out that 3-yard touchdown pass, and the Cardinals escaped with the win despite not having Bryce Love. Remember, he's out with that ankle injury. And Stanford, they were held to 81 rushing yards, which is 178 yards below their season average. Check out Joe Tessitore's weekly poll with ESPN official Heisman voters. Currently, Saquon Barkley, no surprise there, is on top, and he's increased his lead over Bryce Love. And the state of Oklahoma, well represented, Baker Mayfield and Mason Rudolph rounding out the top 4. Brad Edwards breaks down the Heisman front-runner, Saquon Barkley, by the numbers.
Through 7 games this year, Saquon Barkley has already eclipsed last season's receiving totals. That includes 26 catches no more than 5 yards downfield for an average gain of just under 7 yards. Not too different from his running plays. But when he goes a little deeper, he devastates opposing defenses. Barkley running vertically is bad news for a linebacker. Once this guy's momentum starts going forward, he has no chance to recover. His only hope is safety help, but his safeties are focused on the deepest receivers going toward the sidelines. This leaves the middle wide open, and Barkley practically walks into the end zone. He's catching about 1 pass per game more than 5 yards downfield for 45 yards per reception. With so many short passes to Barkley, the average downfield distance of his targets is barely beyond the line of scrimmage. well below last year's. But with greater efficiency down the field, the yardage gained per pass attempt to Barkley has increased. So if Ohio State focuses too much on Barkley in the backfield, Penn State's answer may be to send him downfield more often.
Thanks, Brad, for leading us to today's comfortable conversation. We've got Gino back with us this week. Thanks for joining us, Gino, and bringing a suit, jacket, shoes, dust them off.
Look at that.
Look good.
Yeah. Good to have you back, Gino. Missed you last week.
So he's not wearing his Wranglers.
No.
I have not been issued
Okay.
Wranglers.
I'll keep wearing mine.
Very comfortable.
Like we're in the military. I haven't been issued my Wranglers yet.
He's always bringing in military talk into our conversation.
Defense.
Okay.
It's his defense
Exactly.
for that combo.
It's
right.
welcome Gino, not mock Gino.
Okay. Welcome, Gino,
Thank
to the
you.
show. It is time for today's comfortable conversation presented by Wrangler. And we'll talk about Saquon Barkley and whether or not we are taking Saquon or the field in the Heisman race. We'll start with you.
I'm a voter. Des, you're a voter.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, David, are you a voter?
They haven't let me do that. Yeah, I
Okay.
am. No, I am.
Man, listen. Probably half
I'm
the
not
people
a
out here
voter.
are voters.
Thanks for
Go ahead.
reminding
If I had to vote right now,
Yep.
week 9, he is the guy. I mean,
Right.
he's number one. There's nobody
that the question,
close.
or was it Saquon
Okay,
or the
well,
field?
I'm going to get to it.
God,
Okay.
can you let Gino? He just got here. He wasn't even here last week. Go ahead, Gino.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take the field. And here's why. Because things happen in these seasons. And I jotted down a couple of the last few years. 2015, Leonard Fournette was the guy, right? Everybody, he's going to win it.
Right.
He finished 6th in the voting. 2014, Jameis Winston, he's going to repeat.
Right.
He finished 6th in the voting. 2013, Johnny Manziel, he's going to repeat. He finished 5th in the voting. I'm not saying Barkley isn't deserving of it,
Right.
but strange things happen in this race,
Right.
and there's enough time that those strange things could still go on.
So Saquon or the field?
I'm taking the field.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, and we have seen that, but right now, again, it's a hard decision to make, but I'll take Saquon. And I get it. You get more players, and he could get dinged, and obviously the field makes a lot more sense, but what he does through the air, what he does running, what he does in the kick game, and I can't explain to you guys, listen, we're tape nerds, and that's what we do is watch tape all the time. I can't explain to you, Penn State's good. They're only where they're at because of this guy. I mean, he is sensational. He is undefensible. He's the best running back I've seen in my time doing tape the last 6-7 years on College Game Day. He's that kind of good. So I will take Saquon, but I know obviously the smart decision is taking the field. But he blows me away.
No, I mean, it's good to take Saquon. I would take the field because now I know he's about to get into the thick of the competition. I mean, they showed some wrinkles a week ago against Michigan that are now on tape. So now you're not going to catch Ohio State by surprise with this. You're not going to catch Michigan State by surprise with this. Going up against this defense that Greg Schiano said was the best defensive line he's ever coached.
You say that with a smile every time.
Saying, even in the NFL, I mean, this is when he makes his Heisman move. In the following week, playing against Michigan State, we all know they play very sound defense, especially against the run. So that's why I would take the field. And then if they beat Ohio State, if they beat Michigan State, if they play in the championship game, that's going to be another tough defense going up against Wisconsin, the Badgers. So I just think now, as he's going up against stiffer competition, his numbers may not be as big as they have been. I think that would take the field.
I got one thing to say about last night's game. I have more Heisman respect for Bryce Love now than I did a week ago. And I know that sounds weird.
No, you're not alone. That sounds like on point.
Well, I don't think people look at things that way, but I'm just telling you, that Stanford offensive line is great, and you saw holes open up. But Bryce Love makes them exceptional because he gets that second level, and people just can't catch him.
Right.
And in my head, I go, that offensive line's so great, it's what makes Bryce Love even better.
Right.
I think Bryce Love makes that offensive line look good, and that quarterback look good who is very average. The wide receiver core who's a defense that's very average. Bryce Love, to me, gained more respect not playing last night if he can continue to go on a roll and do the things he's doing.
Yeah, I think that was a general consensus last night. Coming away from that game, I think everyone felt the same way, no doubt about it.
And think about this. I mean, you mentioned it earlier with NC State and their run defense.
Right.
Well, let's say Josh Adams from Notre Dame has a huge game.
Right.
It's Notre Dame. It's national TV.
Of course.
his candidacy can just be propelled forward. The guy here at Ohio State, J.T. Barrett, right?
Get him going.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Listen.
Hold on. I'm just saying if he does it against Penn State, big game.
This is the nerve.
I'm not saying he's the guy. I'm just saying there are other guys who can
I'm going to go back to Notre
defense.
Dame first. It's interesting you mentioned that because I was with a buddy of mine named Steve Boucher, and he said, how about Adams? I mean, the running back, look at his numbers. I said, Steve, it's not just what you do. For me, it's who you do it against.
Right.
He had that opportunity against Georgia. What was his average in that game?
Yeah.
I said, don't talk to me again until he plays against another defense we respect, like the Wolfpack.
Right.
So now if he does something tomorrow significant, then he may get into the conversation.
Now on to J.T. Barrett. You didn't.
J.T. Barrett, I mean, he had his opportunity against Oklahoma. That was the big one. I don't care what he does against these. The other games
Against
after
Penn
that
State?
were all stat games. Okay, it's games that you build your
So what
stats
about
with.
tomorrow?
Tomorrow, what can he do that you actually say, you know what, I think he's the best player in college football? Just tell me, what can he do? 5 touchdown runs or 5 touchdown throws?
3 passing, 2 rushing. 3 passing, 2 rushing, and lights up Penn State.
I'm just saying, I mean, he's been here so long.
Well, he's been here for 32 years.
Don't hold that against him.
Really?
We've been here too long. The block's over. We got into it really deep. Gino, you don't even have time to leave.
Does that mean Gino's leaving?
Yeah, I get to stay
Gino
for once.
gets to stay this one time. I'm kind of
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get up that
a
hill.
little bit, yes. Just stay here. If you guys haven't listened to it, make sure you listen to Kirk Herbstreit's and Ian Fitzsimmons' podcast. This week they have on J.T. Barrett and Bryce Love. So if you want to talk Heisman hopefuls, you can hear from them on the podcast and listen on the ESPN app. Yes, it's pretty good. Just pretty good, Des?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's okay. I've heard better.
Des said it's
just
solid.
kidding.
It's pretty good.
All right, coming up next, we're going to walk through a little bit of fun video. We're going to talk to David about box jumps, and we're also going to fact check some
Box
things.
jumps again.
So stick around on college football.
We're not talking about box jumps. We're talking about pant ribs. That's what we're talking about. I know better than this.
Coming up on Saturday, TCU taking on Iowa State, 3:30 Eastern. You can watch that on ABC or ESPN2, depending on where you are, and also stream it live on the ESPN app.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're watching College Football Live. Weekend Tailgate. Presented by Wrangler.
All right, check out our cameraman, Eddie, wearing his Wrangler jeans on Casual Friday. Gino still hasn't been
some light
issued
stretching,
his.
some light calisthenics. I like that.
I think it's just showing off and telling Gino that he still doesn't get any. Look at this.
Stretch comfortable Wrangler jeans, huh? All righty then.
The comfortable conversation.
Exactly.
The comfortable jeans. We got a little catch going on. Pollock doing whatever he wants because it's a tailgate, right? Yeah. Okay, guys, wanted to play a new game with you. We get a lot of facts when we talk about these games, but I want to know if some of them are relevant. A lot of them are just nerdy stats that researchers come up with, basically, right?
I believe that.
Okay, you tell me if they're relevant. The first one we're going to go with is this game. So Urban Meyer is 21-1 during the regular season after a bye week. Is that stat relevant to this matchup?
Yes.
Why?
You saw it last week. Penn State had an extra week to prepare. I think you have a week to break tendencies. You have a week to get healthy and rest up. So absolutely 100% it's beneficial having a bye.
I agree. I think, for the reasons they said. Not only that, but you have an extra week to prepare for the team and study some new tendencies that they may have shown. Like we said last week, they had the tendency where they shifted Saquon and shifted McSorley in the backfield, new wrinkle to the Penn State's offense. Now Ohio State had a chance to see that and get ready for it.
All right, flip side of that, James Franklin is 0-8 on the road against ranked opponents.
Wow.
I
don't know, because, normally I would say that's a relevant statistic, but when you have a superstar can erase a lot of stats, and Saquon Barkley is a superstar, so I would say it's irrelevant. And plus, they know they can play with Ohio State. They're not intimidated by the Buckeyes.
Okay.
So as a ranked opponent or against ranked opponents?
Against a ranked opponent on the road.
I mean, so when he was at Vanderbilt and he's playing ranked opponents, he had no shot. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. I mean, come on, man. No, that's irrelevant. Absolutely.
Okay, totally irrelevant. Let's talk about Penn State and the fact that they haven't faced a top 50 offense. Is that relevant to this game?
That's relevant to me, yeah. Absolutely. I want to see their defense that creates turnovers. And last week was obviously supposed to be that, but Michigan's offense is
painful to watch.
Painful.
So that wasn't a group that you measure yourself against.
Painful,
this is the group that you measure yourself against. So, yeah, I think it's very relevant.
Okay. How about Notre Dame? They haven't won back-to-back top 15 games since 1989. So I was about 2 then. Does that matter at all?
We're popping our ages now. I don't think it's relevant. This is a new team, new regime. I think they're okay.
Not relevant.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, what about Iowa State? They have the worst ranked versus ranked record in AP poll history.
They 1-10.
Yeah, actually.
Are they 1-10?
1-10-2.
1-10-2.
Yeah. Okay. So that doesn't affect this year's Iowa State team. I don't.
We figured out. You guys don't like
Cyclones.
history stats.
No, because
that's what you don't like. Well, they don't want to talk about that.
When Dez was at Michigan, his stats mean nothing to this year's Michigan team.
Okay, well, don't get mad at me. I'm just saying.
Stop yelling
that's
at
why
me.
we were checking the facts.
Two Bulldogs.
I thought it was a cute idea.
It was a good idea.
Thank you.
I liked it. It worked out well.
I had no problem with it, Maria. I actually enjoyed it.
Thank you.
It was an irrelevant segment.
I'll get you another plate of food next week.
An irrelevant segment.
We're going to make fun of David and show his old box jump because he made me feel bad today. Stay tuned to College Football Live.
College Football Live Weekend Tailgate is presented by Wrangler. With new styles and great fits, Wrangler jeans are ready for anything.
Let's take a look at our blimp-worthy player, Rodney Anderson, presented by Goodyear. Now, he's obviously playing well right now for the Sooners, but he also can jump out of a pool.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, and land it on the edge.
You know what?
Serious?
You know what? The hardest part about that is getting over the fear of hitting the side.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that.
Is that the hardest part?
Yeah.
I was going to say, Rodney has no fear.
Once you get over
I did that in college.
You can do it.
I did that in college.
Was it better than what we saw when David did this?
Yeah, I think
You
so.
think Rodney wins?
He had that resistance. You know what I mean? Jumping out of water. I mean, that was impressive by Pollock. Don't get me wrong.
And you know what's even more impressive? That Pollock brought the ripped pants to our show.
What's more impressive
I
is
think
that he kept the ripped pants.
He put them back in the
Y'all
bag.
know I'm
and was
cheap
like,
now.
Just in case I need them.
Right.
Y'all know I'm cheap.
We got to get this man some
Hey, look,
money.
if we sat down the whole show, I could wear them pants today. I mean,
Make
You just
sure
have
you
a problem
join us
walking
on
out
College
here
Game
and walking
Day
back
tomorrow
in the
morning.
pants. Yeah.
He will have on pants that are not ripped. Maybe.
maybe.